And conservative pundit Candace Owens is receiving a lot of backlash for not, she didn't suggest it, she just flat out said that
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, it wasn't, I almost said insinuating, but she flat out said
Mhm.
that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. So for anyone who has been living under a rock, Joe Biden made it public that he will not be continuing to run for reelection as president. And so it has become apparent that the vice president, Kamala Harris, is going to fill those shoes. There's been tremendous outpouring of support for her over the last few days since that happened. All of this money's being raised, all of these fundraisers and stuff like that, these dollars and donations being taken in to make Kamala Harris best positioned to succeed in ascending to the presidency and defeating Donald Trump in the general election. Candace Owens, who routinely says controversial things all throughout her platform, is now receiving tremendous backlash because she said that Kamala Harris got to this point in life because she slept her way to the top. She literally said that she is thotting through life, and that does not have, and people are not happy with that. People are not happy at all. So this says Candace Owens comes under fire for accusing Kamala Harris of thotting through life.
Damn.
Candace Owens went off on Vice President Kamala Harris in the wake of the news that she'll likely be taking on Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election. In doing so, she claimed Harris slept her way to the top and recalled her relationship with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown in the 1990s. The comments have been receiving ample backlash on social media. She was with some 60-year-old man, got her start in the political career, Owens remarked, as caught by all hip hop. From there, she described Harris as thotting through life while citing a Daily Mail article. She describes Brown as being married and in his 60s at the time, while Harris was just a spring chicken. Reuters has previously reported that despite being legally married, Brown had long been separated from his wife at the time. Expectedly, the comments have been receiving tons of backlash online. I hear Candace Owens is trashing VP Kamala Harris for her relationship to San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, one Twitter user shared. Brown has been separated from wife over 40 years and has often gone to galas with his girlfriend on one arm and his wife on the other. Can't dig up any dirt, Candace, all, another user wrote. Not Candace Owens saying Kamala slept her way to the top when Miss I Can't Get a Decent Stylist married her husband after only 2 weeks because he was fame adjacent. So here is what Candace Owens had to say. I might have to click to another link, but we'll see.
So they understand that.
All right, so I think we're good here. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and play this. These are the comments in question.
Will look really bad if they do not lean in to saying that they really do want Kamala. But even that feels a bit performative to me. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm starting to see articles creep out and they seem like attacks on Kamala. Again, if we can go into our time machine and go back to 2020, well, every time that someone tried to interject the truth about Kamala, which is that she slept her way to the top, it's a fact. She was with some 6-year-old man, got her start in the political career. And they would go, oh my gosh, how dare you say this? That's so sexist. Well, then suddenly on July 6th, the Daily Mail actually published a headline about the fact that Kamala Harris was, thotting through life. And they basically said she got her political start because she was dating this guy, Willie, can't think of his last name right now. And he was married and he was in his 60s and Kamala Harris was just a spring chicken. And that is how she entered the political scene. So she was not somebody who was a part of their ecosystem, but they tapped her in 2020 because they were like, oh, like the thing that we always say is that look at the Republican Party, it's so white and there's no diversity. And how are we going to be able to say that if we're running Joe Biden, who has been extraordinarily wealthy his entire life and whose son is becoming extraordinarily wealthy while smoking crack simply because he's doing dirty deals in Ukraine? So what are we going to do? We're going to hire Kamala Harris. We're going to select Kamala Harris to be the vice president. And he's the only person I can think of. And then we can sell. I know that when she was sworn into Congress, she was talking about how she's an Indian, but we'll just sell the people, like, forget the Indian side. Like, now she's back to black. And the streets are talking, ha, 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 ha. And that's what they did. So that is the only reason that Kamala Harris, they literally did not have another person that they felt could be the vice president and allow them to use the isms. You don't like her, you're a sexist. You don't think that she's amazing, you're a misogynist, deep-seated misogyny. You don't want this ticket to win. Is it because Kamala Harris is black? Kinda. I feel like it is. It's because you're a racist. So they just needed her to do the thing.
All right. So there you go. Goes on to say, so here was another commenter. Wow, here comes the right in full attack mode. Candace Owens says Kamala Harris slept her way to the top as she reacts to Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. The story comes after Joe Biden announced he won't be seeking re-election in the upcoming presidential race. In a statement on Sunday, instead he endorsed Harris to run in his stead against Donald Trump. So a lot of people don't like what she said there. A lot of people do not like her saying that she slept her way to the top, that she thought her way through life, so on and so forth. They are not appreciating that at all. What do you make of what Miss Owens had to say there?
Hey, man, listen. Candace Owens normally has a lot of spicy takes. She doesn't really know how to do it with chill. And the ones that tend to go viral and hit the waves, I tend to agree with a lot of them. Now, I did watch some of her content before, because I was like, well, I agree with her so much. But then I watch what she do as a whole thing. And it's like, all right, you lost me there. But the ones that go viral, much like this one here, I really don't see anything wrong with it. And here's why. Because when all of this stuff was going down for the last election where she was the vice president, and they was just running as them being candidates, Judge Joe Brown, one of my favorite internet personalities right now, he called this out. And he said, because he was on that scene, he was in California, he's in the judicial system, so he knew people. He was in the, courts and all this other stuff. So he was familiar with her and how she got down, putting a lot of African Americans behind bars. And but he also saw her scandalous behaviors as a socialite. And so he was making that stuff well known back then. And for it to resurface now, I'm not surprised, because I've heard other murmurs about this. So to me, this is not out of pocket for her bringing it up. Now, saying thotting through life, now that's pretty wild. But it's it's catchy, because part of her job is for engagement farming. So she's around here saying the spicy things to get people riled up. But I mean, for the most part, I agree with it. I don't see anything wrong for stating facts when it comes to her past, if it is indeed true. Like, who knows, right? So allegedly, we'll say she did that. but yeah, I tend to think that if somebody out there really, besides just vouching for the person because she's just because she's a woman or she's a part of the whatever party, if it's a thing where, what does she ever say? What does she say? What does she stand for? Who is she? And every time that I hear her speak, it's her cackling, laughing, or her saying a whole bunch of words that really was just a word salad. She didn't say anything. So I really don't know what she does. And so, and I think that's the overall point from Candace Owens, at least, is that, how does somebody like Kamala make it all the way up there? When you're not, because there's some, people got college professors they know that are more polished, well-spoken, and know more about politics. But she made it to be president. This lady made it to be president. So it's not the fact that, anybody's hating on her because she's a woman or anything like that, a woman of color, or any of those things. It's because we know what impressive is. And I'm not impressed by this woman. So how did this non-impressive woman get to the point to where she might get voted president of the United States? So there's going to be rigmarole, much like this, that pop up and say, well, she was thotting her way through life. Because honestly, if she was an impressive person, people wouldn't even be asking that question. But people are asking questions like, who is she and how did she get here? Because she's been uneventful the whole time as vice president. She's been nothing but a meme. So now she's going to be our president. It's wild stuff, man. So yeah, I don't blame Candace Owens for calling her out on this, man. I know Candace Owens get a bad rap in our community, but hey, man, she be dropping facts. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Miss Candace Owens saying that Kamala Harris thought her way all the way to the top? Is she out of pocket for that?
I think that's strong. That's strong. Yeah, I don't have as much of an issue. So Candace Owens is a hit or miss with me.
Mm-hmm.
When she's talking about traditional family values, I usually rock with her when she talks about the importance of preserving traditional family values.
Mm-hmm.
When she talks about things like, pornography being an element that weakens men's position in society, I'm usually rocking with her on that. When she talks about that, I agree with that. When she talks about how some of these, social programs that they're trying to institute, like in public schools, being out of bounds, I'm usually rocking with her on that. But with this kind of stuff, I feel like she's just being a flamethrower and she is attempting to expose something that an opposer of hers can very well play the same card for her. Because everything that you just said is true, but one can make the same argument about the Trump guy. I didn't know that I did not know that Donald Trump was a serious presidential candidate until he showed up on the ballot, quite honestly. Like, I'm looking around like this guy went from being a shisty real estate person to a guy on a reality TV show, and he's going to be president. How the hell did that happen?
Right.
So his ascendancy to me made zero sense. What is it about his record of public service that makes him having that job make sense?
Agreed.
I didn't get that. So that to me made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Yet here we were, and he won. So I'm just like, how the hell does it happen on either side? How does that happen? So for her to bring that up about Kamala Harris, okay, fine, if you want to go there, whatever. But one can do the same thing about your guy. How the hell did he get there? And the point that you made about, the things that you expressed about people ascending to this point with no glaringly obvious prerequisites that would suggest they belong there is what has people exasperated with this entire process to begin with. Because what I think the political apparatus has done, in my opinion, is they have pulled an immaculate inception right in front of people's very eyes, and they've turned it from a matter of policy into a fisticuffs over identity politics.
Yes.
So from that standpoint, what Owens is saying in her clip is true. I just think she did it in poor taste by juxtaposing it to Kamala Harris thotting her way through life. Like, in my opinion, that was in poor taste. But if you remove the juxtaposition, what she's saying is not incorrect. Like, yes, that is something that is in play, but it goes on both sides. I'll give you an example. So if you express any sort of dissenting opinion towards Kamala Harris, Owens is right. You're going to have to deal with assertions, right? You're going to have to deal with assertions that you may hate women, that you hate black people, that you are a sexist, that you are like a hater, you're a hater who wants to take America back 400 years. So if you dissent against her, you have to combat the assertion that you are closeted, identifying as any one of these isms. That, in my opinion, is unreasonable, because you might just have a reasonable dissension towards her being in that position. But it goes on the other side too. If you are against one of these ultra conservative policies that they're trying to push through, you have to fight claims that you're like an ultra socialist or you're some kind of anarchist that wants to see the world just devolve into chaos and a society where there's a lack of rules. So it goes on both sides. Like if I say anything towards Kamala Harris, then I must hate women, or I hate black people, or the double whammy, I must hate black women. Um, or if I dislike something that's going on the other side, then I must be a socialist. So that's the point about this whole thing. People are tired of the identity stuff. Like people are tired of the symbolism. They're tired of the identity politics. Like keep us out of World War III and
Right.
put money in people's pockets. Like, that's what people want to know. People want to know. People want to know, how are you going to keep us out of conflict?
Right.
And how are you going to put money in my pocket?
Right.
That's what people care about. All of this other stuff. Oh, okay, and stuff like pro-choice, women's rights. I guess that's a big deal too. So I don't want to gloss over that. But it's critical things like that that people really care about.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about all of these ancillary, arbitrary themes like threats to democracy and preserving democracy. Like those things are all wonderful talking points. But what people really care about is get rid of this damn inflation. I'm tired of going to the grocery store and spending $150 on my grocery list, or spending $3.85 for a gallon of regular gas.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people are tired of that. People are tired of having their car insurance premiums hiked $50 every time their renewal comes up, despite the fact that they have a perfect driving record. So the people on the streets, they want to know, how are you going to fix that madness?
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting sort of inundated with all of this identity stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, fine. Like, yeah, we want to be post-racial. Racism is bad. Sexism is bad. What else? Hatred, misogyny is bad. All of these things, okay, I agree. All of this stuff is bad. But at the end of the day, put money in my pocket so that I can put a roof over my head. And once I have a roof over my head, I'll have the time to deal with all this other stuff. Now, the political world and these geniuses in the political ivory tower that host these shows, they don't want to hear that because they feel like you should care about all of that other stuff. But the people on the ground who live paycheck to paycheck, who are literally waiting until their next paycheck comes in to pay all of their bills, and then they're counting how much money is left to know whether they can afford to send their kid to summer camp, or whether they can afford their daughter's ballet lessons, or whether they can afford their son's basketball shoes. They want to know about that stuff first. But they're getting beat and clubbed over the head with this identity politics, and that's what people are tired of on both sides. On both sides. So like Candace Owens is like, I feel like Candace Owens, because she's conservative, is speaking to the redirect of focusing on identity politics from her side. And she's not wrong with that. But the other people on the other side can do the very same thing. They can say that the people on the right are dealing with these, are focusing hyper focusing on redirects to make the conversation about identity politics that favor them. So it's just bullets flying around both sides, and people are just tired of the BS. So, you know, I think that she was in, like I said before, I think she made a juxtaposition towards Kamala in poor taste, just to sort of make her seem like this slanderous, loose moral person that now might become president. And whatever works, because these days that's what politics are, is just mudslinging. But what she said in a vacuum isn't totally wrong. People are tired of this stuff. Like, just fatten people's pockets, get rid of these ridiculous taxations, reduce the wealth gap, give people chances and opportunities economically, and then we can focus on all of that symbolic stuff later.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, bro. But and especially the part with identity politics, because at this point, you know, everything has become such a brand, and everything is about what that candidate represents instead of what they are going to implement. And so what she represents is a woman of color and whatever. And then yeah, man. And then she's gonna come out here, and I was saying this while I was filibustering earlier, but mark my words, bro. At some point, she's gonna talk about cornbread, hot sauce. I said that chicken and watermelon is too low hanging fruit. Like she would offend people with that. But if she talks about cornbread, if she talks about um, greens, yeah, she's gonna say stuff like that. Especially, the closer we get to Thanksgiving and stuff like that, she's gonna say things like that. She's gonna do dances to Black people songs. She's gonna come out twirling to who knows. The DNC thing is gonna be a hip hop concert, and she gonna be out there jigabooing it up. And so I don't have time for this. And honestly, I was laughing at all of this stuff at first because I like to get a good laugh out of this. But now I'm starting to get a little concerned. I was like, whoa, wait. I said, whoa, y'all reduce. First of all, Sleepy Joe was like, whatever, bro. Like, I mean, I would at least laughed at the gaffes. But now, because at least, and I don't like the way the country was being run anyway, but I was like, at least it's going to be run kind of the same. So whatever, catch my footing if he wins. So I'll still laugh at stuff. But now it's like Trump or this lady. And this lady, I don't even know what she does. Like I said, like, I don't even know what she stands for. Every time I hear her speak, like, I know how politicians, talk. They say a whole bunch of nothing. But her whole bunch of nothing is to me, it's next level. It's like, it's really airhead stuff. And that's why I said I'm not impressed by this woman. Like, she's not impressive to me. At least Hillary Clinton could talk about stuff. Even though she wasn't going to implement nothing she was talking about, at least she had stuff she can run out of her mouth and say to make it seem like she know about politics. But this lady here, she just be talking. So I can't get with that, man. Like, so at this point, they're really just picking figureheads. So one thing the conservative side did is they picked a good guy. Like you said, how did he make it? Well, they picked a good person to represent what they do and what they stand for. And we had Sleepy Joe up there. And then now they're going to put this lady there, and so now it's like, oh, well, now with their side of the fence, this is not really much of a candidate. Is she what y'all represent? Is she what you guys stand for? But I think so. It's just because, and that's what she was talking about, just because she's a woman and she's a minority and all this other stuff, and that's it. So you going to vote for that? And not be a racist and not be a misogynist? Because how dare you? Or you're going to vote for the racists? So, yeah, that's what they basically did, man. And last thing I'll say is that, this stuff really, and it's the reason why it's concerning is that I think people are buying both sides. Like, people are really buying the conservative side aggressively, and the liberals are buying it aggressively. And I don't know what's going to happen with this election, because I think either side, when they lose, it's going to be a powder keg of some type.
Yeah.
And that's the part about this that's becoming alarming to me. That's the part about this is not funny anymore, especially when they introduced violence not too long ago with the ear prickling of Trump. So I don't know where things are gonna go with this, but it's starting to not become funny. It started, like I was saying to somebody earlier, like, a sitcom, like all this stuff to me is a sitcom. But now some of the stuff that's going on in the storyline, it's like, hey, this is like it's winding to the series finale. It's not even funny anymore. It's starting to get a little too serious. And this is how it ends normally. So
it's like one of those episodes of Family Matters where the first 25 minutes were funny, and then they had to tone it down and give you that sympathetic music so that they can get to the last portion of the episode.
Yeah, man.
It's not funny anymore. It's just become cringe and sad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
and yeah, I'm fearful of how dangerous
yeah,
things can potentially be.
yeah,
Because yeah, it's gone, and yeah, I'm not advocating on either side. I am saying that these extremities are taking place all over the place,
yeah.
and it's extreme fear mongering on either
Yes,
side. It's
yes.
we're either going to enter into a dictatorship, or we're going to enter into a highly taxed, no rules, high spending, big government. Like there's just fear mongering going on every side. When,
Hmm.
like everything that we discussed, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And at the end of the day, most reasonable people who are not the smartest or most astute when it comes to politics just want to know how their everyday lives, mainly from a monetary standpoint,
Correct.
are going to be improved. Because one thing's for sure, you can believe that people need to be more like involved and conscientious when it comes to things like Project 2025, for example, is a big thing going around. Lately, I've been doing a lot of research learning what that means.
Hmm.
So you can all day long, you can wax poetically about how important it is for people to be conscientious about stuff like that, conscientious about certain, matters of symbolism and various other things. But at the end of the day, most people sensibly want to be able to thrive on a day-to-day basis economically, because then they can sit back, take a breath, survey the landscape, and when they're not so overly concerned with how they're going to keep lights on, pay bills, or maintain discretionary income,
Hmm.
then they have the bandwidth to focus their efforts on some of these other things that you think are just as important. But man, like if a person is, or if people are trying to raise a family paycheck to paycheck, and they can barely afford mortgages or rents, the housing prices are just through the roof. People can't afford to buy houses, rent apartments. You know what I'm saying? You got landlords out here who are demanding 800 credit scores, 750 credit scores. Like stuff is crazy out here for working class people. And working class people don't have time to think about all of this other stuff.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, like all of the people on CNN and MSNBC and Fox, all of the smart people, they don't want to hear this stuff. But I'm
Hmm.
telling you, people will vote with the quickness for a person who they think is a racist, but is going to put money in their pocket before they go the other way. Now, you might not like that. You might not like that, and I'm not advocating for
Right,
that.
right,
I'm not
right, right,
saying it's the best thing. I'm
right,
just
right.
saying pragmatically, that's what people do.
Yeah.
They will vote for somebody who is a flaming racist, who is going to put more money in their pocket before they vote for the person who's going to be like, oh, we are the world. We represent the future of what the country's supposed to be, but we still going to have you out here struggling economically on a day-to-day
Hmm.
basis.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what people are going to do. So these people out here who are actively involved politically, they just want to know how you're going to fix that.
Hmm.
That's what they want to know. Give me your blueprint for how you're going to deal with this. And most people who are reasonable are tired of it because they're not hearing a plan for that in either direction.
Correct.
In either
Nobody
direction.
talking like that.
Yeah, no one is.
Hmm.
And people are just over it.
Yeah, I mean 1,000, man. So we'll see how this pans out, man. But hey, I agree with Candace Owens with this. Thought is a strong word, but I get a good kick out of it when I hear her say it. So to me, it was all fair. But these are all allegations. Who knows what's really going on? But I do question where she comes from, and
Yeah.
how she got here. Because as again, I'm not saying a woman can't run the country. You do whatever, but I know there's more impressive women than this, and I don't see why she's there. So best of luck to everybody, myself included. Because when this went down, man, I said, man, we're really screwed, bro. This
It's
is
gonna be
really
crazy,
in
bro.
it.
It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. You know, you're gonna have people in the comments who are going to list everything she's ever done because they think that you're just out of pocket for saying that she shouldn't be
Yeah,
there.
that's
So
fair. That's fair.
they're gonna be like, she did this, and this. They gonna come out of the woodwork on that, but I don't know. I just think people are exhausted, and I don't blame them. I'm exhausted. I think reasonable people who are not extremists and they just want to hear a carefully laid out plan that's gonna fix this. Whatever. We'll move on to the next topic. You know,
I wanted to
I
move on.
already said what I want to say, but people are just tired of it at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.